What's up, Honor? So the other day, Home Depot officially revealed all their new Halloween animatronics for both Canada and the US. And for the US, as always, they have a great lineup, but really what I want to focus on today is, of course, the Canadian lineup, which overall this year is definitely their best year yet. So today, we're going to check out all these new animatronics for 2025, starting off with what is probably one of my favorites of the lineup. This guy is, of course, the Neon Clown. Alright, and kicking it off with the Neon Clown. This guy right here is a really cool animatronic, and honestly one of my favorite clown ones this year. He looks really cool, and apparently his clothing right there, it's blacklight reactive, so if you have some blacklight shot on this guy, it'll look very vibrant. But the coolest thing about this guy is definitely that animation right there. Of course, he just starts talking to you, he's got a little box right there that he winds up, and then the unexpected part is when his head just pops up. Overall, it's a great jump scare and very effective. And this guy, of course, might be a Canadian exclusive, which I'm not 100% sure on. There were some rumors that he was going to be discontinued for this year, but then of course he popped up on the Canadian website, so overall he might be exclusive, but if not, then I guess he'll also be in the US. But overall, he is an awesome one, and coming in at only $300, which for what this guy is, that price is not bad at all. So overall, a cool animatronic, and definitely one of my favorites for this year. And carrying on, our next new animatronic right here is, of course, the app-controlled Ultra Skelly. And this guy's just so cool because of all the features he has. Just going through it, he of course has arm, head, mouth, and of course body animation. Then of course he has lights that glow inside his chest right there. He's also got lifelike LCD eyes right there, which I believe there's 18 different options you can choose from. And of course he is all controlled from an app, so you can put in your own voice lines for this guy and control the entire movement of this thing. So honestly, one of the coolest and most unique animatronics I've ever seen out there. And this guy's coming at a price of only $350, which is a little bit high just for a 6.5 foot skeleton, but still he does have a lot of features, so that $350 price tag is a little bit reasonable. So honestly, this guy right here is an amazing animatronic for this year, and he might be one that I would consider picking up. Still not sure, but still, he's a cool one. And carrying on, the next one we got right here is one that I never knew of until this drop right here. This guy right here is, of course, the 9.5 foot massive Arachnophobia spider. And this spider right here might be the coolest one we've seen yet of these massive spider prop guys. I just really love the detail on this guy. It looks insane, and the added lighting feature also really just adds to make this guy even better. Now, he is a bit pricier at $500, but overall for what this guy is, he looks really cool, and just with how big he is, I think he's definitely worth that price. So the new spider here, honestly one of the best spider props we've ever seen, and this guy, it would be so cool to see this guy set up in stores. And next up here, we've got a new jump scare animatronic. This guy right here is, of course, the Grave Robber. And the Grave Robber here is such a cool animatronic. I love the look of him and everything. It's a little bit different than other Grave Robber animatronics we've seen because, of course, he has a little pile of dirt they stand on, which also has this amazing jump scare where, of course, a little skeleton pops out of the ground, really unexpected and unlike anything we've seen before. And then just the detail and everything else on this guy looks really nice. Overall, he's a really cool looking animatronic. And on this guy, he is a bit more of an expensive one, coming at $350, which is a little bit much for what this guy is, for pretty much just having the one animation and the mouth movement. But overall, for what this guy is, he still does look really cool, and honestly, if I could find this guy on sale, he'd maybe be one I consider. And carrying on, next up here, we've got one of the new towering guys for this year. This guy right here is, of course, the brand new 15-foot Worricrow. This guy here looks so cool, and 15 foot is an insane height for this guy. And I really do love all the molded pieces on this guy. Of course, the legs right there coming up look really nice. All of his big sticky arms coming out, and that head design looks amazing. Now, one thing with this guy, like with most massive animatronics, they don't have much animation. This guy really only has the head right there, but for what it is, the head animation does look good, and overall, this guy just looks so cool. And this guy is, of course, a little bit more of an expensive one, coming in at $500, but overall, he's a really cool animatronic, and I can't wait to see this guy in stores. He is going to be insane to see. And carrying on, the next guy we got right here is a very similar one, another 15-foot animatronic with a similar design. This guy right here is, of course, the Crow, which for this guy right here, I love the look of him. Of course, he is this big crow type guy, but he's still got those sticky looking arms and legs right there, which is really cool. I'll design that, and then yeah, just that big crow head at the top looks amazing. The addition of the big jacket on this guy too looks really nice, and overall, he's also got that head animation, which does look nice too. Now, this guy is an expensive one too, coming at $500, but overall, for again, this guy is massive, and I think he's well worth the price. So overall, a cool animatronic, and honestly, I really love the towering guys they have this year. And moving on, the next animatronic we got right here is, of course, course, the witches scene. And this animatronic is, of course, more of a newer take on the witches around a cauldron animatronic, and overall, I love how this thing looks. I like the designs of both the witches. It looks really cool. It is more that typical witch look with the green face and the black clothes and everything, but overall, I still do like how it looks, and really that centerpiece there with the cauldron and everything looks amazing. I love the sculpt they have done on that. Now, one thing I will say about this is I do wish it had more movement, because all it seems to have is both their mouse move and then they also stir the cauldron around, but overall, for what it is, it does at least have those two animations, but it could use like some arm or something. And these two are, of course, coming at a price of $290, which honestly isn't too bad because you're pretty much getting two animatronics out of this, so pretty much $150 each for them, so overall price on this not too bad. So overall, a cool animatronic, and honestly another one that if it goes on clearance, I wouldn't mind buying it. And carrying on here, we've got another witch animatronic. This one right here is, of course, the Nightshade Witch. And this one right here, I'm gonna say, is probably my favorite witch animatronics I've ever seen. I do just really love the look on this thing. They sort of went with a little bit of a different vibe, which I like. And overall, it has some cool movement too, where it has the arm that moves, the mouth that moves, and then of course it has a servo head. It also features lifelike eyes, and overall this thing's coming at only $250, which for what this is, that's not too bad a price at all for getting the servo features and just the overall look of this thing, just how cool it is. It's an amazing one for that price. So honestly, for this one here, I might have to put my top 5 for Home Depot this year. And moving on, next up here, we got another big prop guy. This guy right here, of course, is the Horrifying Hickory. And this guy right here is an insane looking prop. He, of course, stands 9 feet tall, and overall, I love the sculpt that they did on this. It's pretty much just this big tree with this creepy face, and he's kind of got these arms sticking out. I love the addition too of those moss details they sort of put all around and everything. Overall, this guy right here is a solid prop. And the Horrifying Hickory is, of course, coming at a price of $300, which honestly is not too bad a price for what you're getting here. So overall, a cool prop. Probably not one I would get, but still, he is awesome. And carrying on right here, we've got a new licensed animatronic for this year. This one is, of course, the Bride of Frankenstein, which this one's a cool one because she's supposed to kind of go along with that Frankenstein's monster we got last year, which overall is a cool one. And this one, they did a really good job on it too. I love the design and everything on this. It looks really great. And they utilize a lot of those servo features, especially in the head, to give us some really lifelike movement again. And this animatronic is, of course, coming in at $350, which honestly is a little bit pricey for our game here. It does at least have some of those servo features and everything, which is really cool, but overall, probably not an animatronic I would get, but still, I do really love the animation on it. It looks so insane. And carrying on, next up here, we've got the Guardian of the Gourds, one of their new budget animatronics for this year. And for what this guy is, he's a cool one. He's pretty much just this big pumpkin creature right here. He's got this like overcoat on. He's holding his staff right there in front of him, and he's got this really creepy pumpkin face with a top hat up there. And of course, he's got a couple of different animations. Of course, his mouth right there moves, which is really creepy just with all his teeth and everything. Then, of course, his head also turns. And this guy is gigantic, coming at 7 feet tall, and he's only retailing for $150, which for what this guy is, that is an insane price. So overall, if you're looking for something a bit cheaper this year, then Guardian of the Gourds is definitely one you should get. This guy is so cool. And carrying on, the next animatronic we got right here isn't necessarily new for US people watching this, but of course here for Canada, it's the first time we're seeing this guy sold. This guy right here is, of course, the Soul Slasher, which this guy right here looks so cool. He's honestly one of my favorite ones from last year, so it's really cool to see him come to Canada. He's got some cool animation going on. Of course, his head turns side to side, but then the really cool thing is he sort of lifts up his arm to point at you. And then he's also a pretty big one at 6.5 feet tall, and his look and everything looks so good. Overall, a really cool animatronic. Now, the one downside to this guy is that he is coming in at a price of $200, which is a little bit strange because this guy was, of course, a budget one in the US last year and only retailed for $100, which should only be about 130 Canadian, so charging $200 for this guy just seems insane. So other than the price, an awesome animatronic, and one that maybe I consider getting on clearance. And moving along, next up here we got the Fiery Reaper, which overall is an insane Reaper animatronic, which this guy right here, I've honestly got to say, I love just the look of this guy. He looks really cool with his one staff right there with the blade and everything. That looks really cool. The scroll on the other hand is really nice detail, and overall he's got a pretty good look. And overall, some good animation. He moves his arm right there with the scroll and everything, that his head and mouth moves and everything. Overall, he's a solid animatronic. And this guy's, of course, coming in at only $200, which is honestly a great deal. This guy's a massive one at 7.5 feet, and overall, some cool animation, everything. Overall, a great animatronic, and one that maybe I consider again, probably not because I already have a few Reapers, but still, he's really cool. And moving on, the next animatronic we got right here is an interesting one. This is, of course, the brand new Malifecent, which this animatronic is a little bit more unexpected because it's not really Halloween-y, it's just a villain character, but overall, this one right here is so cool. The animation on this thing is insane. I especially love how they use servos once again on just the head and everything for this. Overall, that's really awesome. Then the animation with the staff right there with the bird on, it's really cool, and overall, overall the look of this thing, they did a great job on it. So Malifecent here, honestly, it looks like it's something straight out of Disneyland. And for this, it's of course coming at $350, which again, $350 is a little bit much. It does have those servo features, which is really cool. Probably not an animatronic I would get, but still, this one right here looks really cool and honestly some really great quality on it. And next up here, we've got the new Raven animatronic, which this one is another insane one for this year. This animatronic right here is obviously very similar to the Plague Doctor guy we saw last year, but I do really like that new Raven look they did, where you sort of got that Raven head right there, and then you sort of got this like robe on everything with the feathery details on some of it. Overall, he's a really cool looking one. He's also once again got that animation where of course the staff in his one hand there, he sort of moves it forward towards you, which is really cool. Then the other animation with the head and everything. Overall, some solid animation on this guy. He's also a big one at 6.5 feet tall and is coming at only $200, which for what this guy is, that's an insane price. And honestly, this guy right here might be one that'll have to get this year. So the Raven guy right here, such a cool animatronic and definitely one of my favorites. And moving on, the next one we have right here, which might be my favorite of the Canadian lineup. This guy right here is of course Tumble the Troll, which this guy right here is amazing. He's basically just this massive 8-foot giant troll guy right here, which I love just the look of this guy. It is insane. I love that head design they went with. It's so big and so cool with like the teeth and everything. He's of course got some cool detail in the little thing that he's holding there in his hands. Of course, he's got this like big belly coming out and the feet and everything. Overall, tons of awesome molded pieces on him. And then some cool animation too with this guy. Of course, his arms, he moves there. He turns side to side. He's got the mouth animation. Overall, a bunch of cool stuff for this guy. Now, this guy right here, one thing I will say is he really should have been outdoor rated just for how big this guy is. But overall, for what he is, he still does look really cool. And he's coming at $290, which honestly not too bad price for just how big this guy is and all the features and everything. And overall, probably not one I would get just because I don't know how I'd work him into my haunt, but still, this guy right here is an insane animatronic. And next up here, we got another really cool animatronic for this year. This one is, of course, the Zombie Stack Trio, which this one right here is, of course, a reskin of the Trickster Trio from last year, which, honestly, I love that one, and this one right here is also another good version. It's again got that cool feature where you pretty much get 3 animatronics in one right here, where you can either have them displayed separately or stacked on top of each other right there. And then they got some all-right animation, of course, each of their mouths move, and then the one guy on the top with the bat, of course, he moves that arm. And then also, they look really cool. I love the sculpts that they did on the heads on these guys. Looks a bit goofier, but overall, I love how that turned out. So honestly, a really good reskin right here, and it's coming in only $290, which is around the same price Trickster Trio was last year. And overall, for again, it's a pretty big one, 7.5 feet when you have all them stacked. So for $290, not too bad price, and honestly, this is one that I wouldn't mind getting. And carrying on, we've got the brand new Chucky, which this guy is definitely the best Chucky we've seen to date. He's pretty much a reskin of the Chucky we got last year. He's got all the same features with like the servo head and everything, with the eyes and everything, then the knife in the hand that moves and everything. But the one big thing they changed is, of course, the look of him, which I really do like the new look of him. Of course, they like roughed up the face a little bit and everything, and overall looks so good. Now, one thing they did change on this guy, which isn't so good, is of course the price on him. The original Chucky last year was $230, and the new one right here is $290 for essentially the same character, just with a different costume on, sort of. So honestly, is he worth the price? I wouldn't say so, but still, he's a really cool one. I love that animation, and honestly, these new Chucky ones that they've been making the last couple of years, with the one last year, new guy right here, overall, they just look so good. And moving on, we got another new one from the Chucky universe. This one right here is, of course, Tiffany, which Tiffany right here is a really cool one. It's another one that's kind of a reskin of Chucky. It has a bunch of the same features where, of course, the arm moves there. Then, of course, she's got the servo features and the head and everything, which looks amazing. And overall, a really good look on this too. I really love the design and everything on it. And overall, it definitely looks like they put a lot of work into this. And this one too is coming at $290, which again is a little bit much for what exactly this animatronic is, but still, it looks really cool. And if you already have one of the Chuckies, this one's a cool one just to add along with it. So honestly, not one I would get, but this one still looks really cool. And finally, to end off here, we got an animatronic, which is more like a prop, but this guy right here is, of course, the brand new Hearse, which this prop right here looks insane. I love all the detail on the Hearse right there. It looks awesome. Then, of course, the skeleton guy up there, he also looks cool with his little hat and cape on and everything. And this guy right here, he doesn't really have much animation. It's pretty much just the jaw and the skeleton that talks. There's also a few light up features on this, but overall, the really big thing about this is really just all that detail and all the different pieces that come to put it together. And overall, for this one right here, it's probably the most expensive one we're seeing this year. It, of course, is coming at a price of $580, so almost $600 for this thing. But overall, for what it is, it's really big and overall really cool. Unfortunately, it seems like it won't be sold sold in stores, but still this one right here looks cool, and I'm sure a bunch of people will have some good use of this in their Halloween displays. And with that said, that's pretty much going to end off for today's video, but quickly I just want to give a quick shout out to the animatronics that are also returned to Canada this year. We of course have the 12-foot giant-sized Skelly. We also have the 12-foot Deadwood skeleton. We've also got the Plague Doctor come back this year, which is really cool. We also have the massive skeleton dog coming back. And then Frankenstein, Dean the Deathologist, the Sweeney doll, and of course Darth Vader also returned this year. I also want to give a quick mention to a couple of props that I didn't talk about in today's video just because they're not really animatronics or anything, but of course we have the Sidon skeleton dog. We also got the Skelly's cat. We've also got this really cool Twisted Souls archway and this cool gargoyle. So overall, a ton of awesome stuff. Honestly, I may get an animatronic or two. I'm not sure if I'm going to buy any for full price. I might wait on some of this stuff to see if it goes on clearance, but overall an awesome lineup, definitely their best one yet, and yeah, tons of cool just animatronics this year. So anyways, that's all. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and of course, I'll see you next time. Goodbye.